What is going on, everybody? Nitro Freak here, back with another stream with this guy. Long time no see, Philly.500. You may know him. If you don't know him, you live under a fucking rock. He's one of the better Eagles YouTubers on planet Earth right now. Philly.500, no introduction, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. How you doing?
Yo, everybody, how you doing? Nitro Freak, my man, what is happening? How are you doing, man? Long time no see, like you said. Off season is going really, really slow right now. Very quiet on the Eagles front, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's the worst feeling in the world. But you know what? We're about to watch a really good Super Bowl game. So, at least that makes up for it. It's the last game of the year, and I feel like this game has the potential to be one of the best games ever. Now, last year's game was abysmal. It sucked. But honestly, I just feel like it's going to be a good Super Bowl, and it's going to make the bitterness of the Eagles season disappear just a little bit because, hey, I'm rooting for Andy Reid to lose. So that'll help.
Are you really?
I am.
I'm rooting for Kansas City. I mean, I think that when you coach that long and you've given that much, it'd be nice to win Super Bowl. But it is what it is. I don't lose sleep either way. Put it that way.
No, I'm just not. I put it in this way. All right. You're not in a relationship, a marriage with somebody for a long period of time. Let's just say 14 years. All right. Then you start to hate each other down the road, and you finally get that divorce that was much needed. You get that divorce, and then they're more successful with their next significant other, and you're basically rooting for them to be more successful than you were with them.
Right. Which was like his sister. You basically cheated on him for his sister, right?
Yeah, exactly. His cousin.
Yeah, you just banged his cousin and married.
And I heard someone say that, that might be the case if we didn't win, but we did win. What does that have to do with anything? He wasted our time for 14 years. And we had some of the best teams ever. And I'll bring up this one point. That Super Bowl team, we did win the Super Bowl, but that team was not better than the 2004 team. There was no way. Like, if you stacked them up the talent-wise, I do not believe that 2004 team would have lost to this team that we won the Super Bowl with.
No, I mean, that 2004 team ran into a dynasty. That was the problem. You were running into the Patriots, and they were winning their second of 3 in a row.
Yeah.
It was bad. Plus, look, they had chances early in that game. They could have been up 14, 17, nothing, or easy early, but they had some bad plays, bad mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, but that's nor here nor there. Andy Reid, I'm not rooting for him. I'm not rooting for Shady either. I know you are. Go Niners, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the wide receiving core and this one Eagles video maker. Shout out to Eagles Speed. This one video maker, he says that we do not need to draft a wide receiver in the upcoming draft in Las Vegas, which I will be at. He says we don't need a wide receiver. We need to draft. We have other holes to fill, other needs at that spot, and I have to kindly disagree with him. I feel like if CeeDee Lamb is there, you go ahead and take him because he is a generational talent. He comes back for the football. That's a wide receiver that we haven't had in a very long time, and I just feel you could go in the market, get Logan Ryan, cornerback out of Rutgers that plays on the Tennessee Titans. Now you could go get him, solidify that position, and boom, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. So I just feel like wide receiver is definitely a position we need to address early and quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is when we look at the draft, we could all talk about every position that we want and what we think they need. But when the draft's going on and the players are on the board, I always believe in the first round, you take the best talent available. Now, I don't know how that's going to shake up. But if we're saying that all these guys are equal in talent at their position and, therefore you can choose what is of need the most, you got to go wide receiver. You have to take a wide receiver. Not only that, but when you look at the history of Howie Roseman and drafting wide receivers in the second, in the mid rounds, it's horrendous. So why not go get the sure thing that these, whether it's Lamb, Ruggs, Judy, that these three guys are the top of the list, and you have the best chances of hitting on one of them. I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
And he also brought up that we should go get linebacker too. I'm not disagreeing with that, but our team and franchise never value the linebacking position, so that's not going to happen. I wanted
No.
Devin Bush last year. He's the stud. I think he plays with the Steelers. I wanted Devin Bush last year, and we didn't take a linebacker until the 4th round. So I mean, they never value the linebacking position, which is why we always lose to mobile quarterbacks because we what is the word for it? We hold on to the line so much. We respect our defensive line so much that we think that we're going to get so much pressure on the quarterback that our linebacking core won't matter. That's not the case, and we never beat mobile quarterbacks, and that's our downfall. And honestly, I hate to say this, but in 2017, everything lined up in place, and the fact that we didn't face a mobile quarterback in the playoffs definitely helped us because when we faced Seattle that year, we got completely washed. So yeah, you definitely need to get a linebacker, but Howie Roseman just doesn't value him for whatever.
You need a linebacker, but this team is not going to take a linebacker in the first 3 rounds. They never do. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see a linebacker in the 3rd or the 4th round. I would, but they don't value it like you said. And they haven't in years. So I don't expect that to happen. And then when you look at the interior offensive line, like the center, because he brought up a center. Well, you're not drafting a center in the 1st round. No. You're not drafting the first 2 rounds. You can get one in the mid rounds, and they've done a good job with that in the past. I think that when you look at the 2 biggest needs, really on defense, you need starters and you need playmakers. You can draft a corner at 21, but the chances that a corner at 21 comes in and is a shutdown corner from day one is not realistic.
No,
it's not realistic. You need a starting free agent. You need to sign somebody in free agency that is competent and can play that corner situation.
And the big names out there are Chris Harris Jr. and Byron Jones from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Byron Jones, I would like, but he's asking for way too much money. And my friend who's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan says that he doesn't create turnovers. And that's something we need on defense because we haven't had that either.
Yeah, I think there are a few guys. I like Trey Waynes. I would bring him in. I don't think you're going to get Jalen Ramsey type corner in free agency. You're not picking in the top 10, so you're not going to get it in the draft.
Right.
But you can get competent guys. You can get guys that are better. And look, let's not forget, I know people want to give up on the corners we have, but there are a lot of young guys at the corner position. When you look at the wide receiver position, you have old guys. Your top 2 guys are in their 30s.
Well, I like what I saw from Sidney Jones at the latter part of the year, the end part of the year. I like what I saw from him, but Jalen Mills has to go. Like, I was actually a big Jalen Mills fan for a long time. But the thing about the guy is when I'm at the games, every single game when a ball is overthrown over someone's head, he always celebrates like he did something.
Right.
And he doesn't do anything.
Right.
And he always gets burnt. So
I actually would consider bringing Jalen Mills back. In a backup role, not as a starter, as a rotational guy, a guy that comes in red zone situations, not in a starting role. I don't think he could be a starter. I would sign a free agent, and then I would look at like the 2nd round or 3rd round and draft a corner. But 1st round has to be wide receiver.
Has to be wide receiver. You have 3 decent or great wide receivers, generational talent wide receivers in the 1st round, and this guy doesn't want a draft to a wide receiver. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, think about it. I mean, seriously. Okay, like say what you want about Sidney Jones, Avonte Maddox, Rasul Douglas. Say what you want of those guys. They're all 25 or younger.
They're young.
But when you look at the wide receiver position, you have a 33-year-old outside wide receiver in Deshaun, and you have a guy who's going to be turning 30 next month in Alshon, who's coming back from a Liz Frank, who, by the way, may be a problem in the locker room.
Yeah.
So who do you have left? Even because Eagle Speed was talking about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, right? Well, you're giving up on him. Well, how could I not after 1 year? I'm not saying he can't develop in something, but even if he did, you still need another receiver.
He can't run routes.
No, he's slow.
Yeah, he can't. If you can't run routes, you don't have anything. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if he went to Stanford. I don't care if he has the best hands on the face of the earth. If you cannot run routes in the NFL, you're not a good player.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not saying he can't improve, but if you're going to hang your basket onto him and say, oh, well, we got him to replace Alshon, I can't do it. And like I said, Deshaun Jackson, 33, Alshon Jeffrey 30. Both of them got hurt all year. They could be hurt again this upcoming year. What makes us think that they're going to be healthy again?
Yeah.
I don't.
Like,
I don't. I just don't see. And then you have Greg Ward Jr., right? Greg Ward Jr. had a great end of the year, but you can't just say, "Hey, you know what? There's our slot receiver. Don't worry about it." You have to bring in competition.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? You have to. I don't. We're decimated.
All right, so I'm going to propose a trade to you right now. You might not like this, but Mike Evans, Tampa Bay, that situation is a little shady down there. All right, I have 2 trade proposals for you.
All right.
The one would be Zach Ertz for Mike Evans, and we'd have to give up something else because I feel like Mike Evans is a better player than Zach Ertz. So we'd give up a 5th-round pick in Zach Ertz for Mike Evans, or the Carolina Panthers just lost Greg Olsen. We'd trade Zach Ertz to the Carolina Panthers for their 1st-round pick.
I would do the second one.
The second one?
Yeah, I would. I as I've said before, I'm very open to moving Zach Ertz for the right price.
Yeah.
But it has to be a lot. And to me, I wouldn't trade Mike Evans and him straight up and give a 5th. I'd have to have more because of the position. But I don't think trading Zach Ertz. I know we all love him and he's good, all that. I get it. But when you look at this team in the next 2 to 5 years, how realistic is it going to be that you're paying Zach Ertz top tight end money and then Goddard's going to want his money too? It's just not practical. You one of them's going to go, and it's got to be Ertz because he's older. So I think that it's something. Why not trade him at top peak value right now?
Well, see, I've been one of those video makers and content creators that has dissected talent over the years. Now, a lot of people like to look at stats and numbers and see that Zach Ertz had that Pro Bowl year where he caught over, I think it was a record for tight ends or something like that, over 110 receptions. I dissect this shit. The guy isn't what his stats are saying they are. All right. The guy catches the ball and runs right into the wall. He doesn't block. He doesn't run after the catch. All right. Is he athletic? Sure. Is he a good guy? Sure. Did he catch that one great ball for us in the Super Bowl? Sure. But you guys have to remember something. We had a great team around us in that Super Bowl that made him look great, And in my honest opinion, I'm sorry, the guy's not that great. He's good. Mm-hmm. He's not that great.
I think he's pretty damn good. I think he's a top 2 or 3 tight end in the league.
But how is he a tight end though? He doesn't block. He's not up there with George Kittle. He's not up there with Travis Kelce. He might be a top 5, but
he's not the greatest blocker in the world. No doubt about it. But he's a great receiving tight end though. I mean, he's a definite weapon. What if you traded him and you told Alshon, hey, gain another 10, 15 pounds. You're getting big anyways, and move him as a backup tight end.
I wouldn't mind it.
I
wouldn't mind that at all. And someone in the comment section said Dallas Goedert got injured. Did he get injured?
Well, I mean, I don't know. He might have been banged up. Ertz got injured look at his first few years in the league. He got hurt quite a few times. Dallas
Goedert's going to be a stud.
Dallas Goedert is a monster. And look, I love Zach Ertz, and it would have to be a perfect. I'd have to get a ton. I'm not kidding you, but I mean, I think that if you're looking and you're a GM and you're looking down the road 2, 3, 4 years, I don't see how you're going to keep both tight ends long term. How are you going to afford it? I don't understand. Look, they want to give Zach a new contract, right? So were they going to make him the highest paid tight end in the league?
Right.
Then after this season, Goddard wants an extension. Was he going to be a top 10 tight end?
Yeah.
And he's going to want to go somewhere and play and start. So I don't see how it's practical you keep both guys. If you keep Ertz, you're only keeping him an extra year or 2 at the most. Why not get top value right now?
Well, speaking of Greg Olsen, why don't we trade Ertz away to the Carolina Panthers for the top pick and then bring in Greg Olsen? Because Olsen has said in the past, well, actually, he just said this past week that he wanted to go to a new scenery. That means that he wants to win now, and he doesn't think that the Carolina Panthers are in a position to win now. If you put Greg Olsen in Zach Ertz's place and you have Dallas Goedert lined up across from him, would you like that? 2 tight end set?
Yeah, especially if I've got a first-round pick and now I just use some of it to leverage getting like a CeeDee Lamb. I'm in.
Yeah,
I am, and like I said, I like Zach Ertz, but I'm thinking about it in terms of 2. I'm thinking about it in terms of 2 to 3 years down the road. Yeah. I just don't think you can keep both guys. If you want to say well, we'll get rid of Goddard. Okay, fine, but you're getting rid of a 25-year-old tight end. How
Yeah.
can you do that?
No, you can't.
It doesn't make sense.
Like, it's easy for me to get rid of players when I view it as a GM role and not a fan role. You know what I'm saying? I look at Zach Ertz. I think he's a pretty good player, but he's not. To me, he's not a great player. You know, he's just not. You need that one player that has that burst of speed, that has excellent route running, excellent precision. And honestly, I don't view that with Zach Ertz. I mean, he is a gamer. In the playoff game, he was clearly hurt. He's a gamer. I do like that about him. It's just like I feel we could upgrade over him. I really do.
I think he's a stud. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I just think that if you're looking at the long term, prospects of this team, then why not do it a year early and get top value for him while he's 29 years old?
Yeah, exactly. He's almost 30. So I mean, it's a crazy situation, but you know what? That's for another day, I guess. But wide receiver is a big need in this draft, and I don't care what anybody says. It's definitely a need, and I agree with you 100%. Now,
I would get 2 wide receivers.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a first round wide receiver and then like a third round wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I need at least 2, not 1. I want 2. That's how decimated I look at this wide receiver situation.
We have an offense that is relying around Deshaun Jackson to stay healthy. We saw how that worked out last year. It's not going to work. And, even if it does work, at least we'll have a backup for him or someone that, rotates in and out with him so he doesn't have to carry the whole load. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Even if you keep Alshon, you need some guys that can come in and play, because both of them have proven not to be healthy. And coming back from a Liz Frank at 30, I don't know what we're going to get in Alshon anyways if he comes back.
Yeah. I think Alshon still has some years left. I'm a huge believer that Alshon Jeffrey had a lot to do with that whole cancer in the locker room thing. I believe that. But in my honest opinion, I love Alshon Jeffrey, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him because he balled out in the NFC Championship game. He balled out in the Super Bowl, the 2 games we really needed him to. And you're not going to hear me say anything bad about Alshon Jeffrey. He did drop that one pass against the New Orleans Saints, which sucked, but he won us a Super Bowl, so you won't.
I have nothing bad to say about him. The only thing that I'll say is if all these things about the locker room and his attitude and the things that we hear are true, and I'm not saying they are, but if they are, there's no way you can bring him back. You just can't do it.
Right.
But I thank him and I appreciate everything he did and how tough he was to play in 2017. I get it all, but if it's going to hinder your quarterback and hinder that locker room, and you're going to get young receivers that are going to be influenced poorly because of him, if those things are true, and I don't know if they are, but if they are, then you have to eat the money and you have to let him go.
Now, a lot of people are saying in the comment section, Robbie Anderson from the Jets. Now, this is what I have to say about this. Robbie Anderson is probably one of the more inconsistent wide receivers in the whole National Football League. One game he'll ball out and be an all-pro, and in the second week he won't even be a third wide receiver. Like, you need consistency, and you need to get speed for Carson Wentz, as Chrono Cowboy in this comment section said. You need to get speed for him because you saw the first week when he had Deshaun Jackson, he just launched it. And, it went right into Deshaun Jackson's hands. So it's obvious what we need, and it's a lot of speed on this offense if we want to succeed because it's obvious that they're not putting any stock into the defense anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I like Robbie Anderson. I would be very happy with him, but also, see, here's what I think is going to happen. I really think that in free agency, you're going to see more money spent on defense. They're going to bring in guys that can play right away. Mm-hmm. I think on in the draft, you're going to see them go offense. You're going to see them go receivers, maybe some interior linemen, and it's not going to be all one way or the other. But I think most of your draft picks will be offense. Most of your free agents is going to be defense. I think that's how they're going to break it down.
Right. I think this is how I see it. I go round 1 wide receiver, round 2 cornerback, round 3 center, round 4 cornerback.
So I go first wide receiver, second corner, third wide receiver. We get 2 third-round picks most likely. Mm-hmm. The second, third-round pick, I go either interior line or I go linebacker.
You would have to go interior,
or possibly safety.
We need to find our safety, our center this year, because I think Kelsey's not going to come back. So
yeah,
who would back him up right now? Salamalu?
Yeah, you need a center. Yeah. You do.
Yeah, that's.
But
Kelsey is our most underrated player.
Oh, Kelsey's stud, definitely. There's no question about it. I
Yeah,
mean, we got a lot of holes. There's a lot of work to do. But I think you got to see if the Eagles had caught, if they had drafted DK Metcalf last year, right? They had got the right guy last year. We wouldn't need a receiver. I could say, oh, they could get a receiver in the mid rounds. This is a deep draft for wide receivers. They'll figure it out. But the truth is that they always miss. They always miss on those guys. So you got to get the sure thing. If CD Lamb's a sure thing, go get him.
yeah.
Go get him.
Which makes me believe that Howie Roseman won't do it. So
Right, right.
like
It's going to take it.
we'll expect this one name to be there, and then all of a sudden it will be like someone out of Wake Forest.
Yeah, he's going to take a defensive end out of Wake Forest. That's what'll happen.
And then people will be like, "Oh, you can't have too many defensive ends," and I'll be like, "Yeah, well, that's what you've been saying for the last 20 years."
Well, look, I took a lot of heat when they drafted Derek Barnett because I flipped out. I did not want Derek Barnett, and after the Super Bowl, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to be that bad," but the last 2 years haven't been great for him.
Yeah. Derek Barnett, I kind of thought that we were going to draft Derek Barnett, honestly, because my friend Zomp, shout out, he actually had some inside information saying that we were going to draft a defensive end. And at that time and place, everyone thought we were going to get Reuben Foster or Dalvin Cook. Those were the two big names. But then when I heard Derek Barnett, I was stunned hearing the name, but like 2 seconds later, I was like, you know what? My friend did say we were going to go after a defensive end, so it kind of makes sense.
Right.
But Derek Barnett, I don't hate Derek Barnett. I think he's going to be a late bloomer like Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham took a long time to develop into what he is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't give up on him at this point. Definitely not. But you do need a pass rusher. You definitely do.
Well, that's my fear because they see that Fletcher Cox regressed last year, and they're probably going to get someone to rotate him in and out. That's just what I fear. They paid him all this money, and they're going to look at the defensive line and be like, this is our staple of our defense. We need to get more linemen. And then you go the first-round lineman, second-round lineman, third-round lineman. It's like they do it every year.
They do. I would like to see them address, if they want to bring in a big-name defensive end free agency-wise, I'm okay with that. Yeah. But I don't want them to waste a first-round pick on one.
No. Hey, you never know what Howie's going to do. I've always called Howie a schmuck, but he's still the GM, so whatever.
He is. That's true.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's like the intro in your videos. You're like, "What a move by Howie Roseman," in like the most sarcastic voice ever.
that was from a mock draft that I did.
Oh yeah,
that whole thing. Yeah, where I had them trading up to get Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
and of course it would have been the right move. Now.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook's a monster.
Yeah, he is.
And then in the comment section, Will Olmstead saying Eagles need Ruggs. I would take Ruggs or CeeDee Lamb, preferably CeeDee Lamb over Ruggs, though, because CeeDee Lamb, I think he has all the attributes and everything you need in an NFL talent. So that's my guy.
I haven't come up with my rankings yet. Like who I want first. I'm very intrigued by Ruggs because his speed is so ridiculous. But CeeDee Lamb, I think he's probably the best overall. And then you got Judy. I mean, he's good too. There's a lot of good receivers. I haven't done my top 5 list, but as far as any of those 3, I'm good with.
Yeah, that's who I'm going for. I'm going for Lamb at 21. He also said that Lamb might not be there at 21. If he's not, I
don't think he will.
If we feel like he won't be there at 21, maybe we have to trade up.
I don't think any 3 of those receivers are going to be there at 21. I think you're going to have to move. I think you're going to have to move up. You're not going to have to move up far, but like if you get to like 15, 14, 15, which isn't that bad.
Yeah.
You can trade up and get one.
And then Duncan Miller said in the comment section, Jeffrey Lurie is way too loyal to Howie Roseman. He treats him like he could do no wrong. Yeah, you just nailed it on the head. He demoted him for Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly was a college coach that literally had 2 years NFL experience, and he gave him all the power and sent Roseman like fucking to a cave. So, I mean,
yeah.
It makes no sense to me, but it's kind of weird. But whatever.
Weird. Yeah. I mean, well, I think a lot of Howie's future is going to depend on this all season because if he doesn't turn it around and change the way they've done some things the last few years, I don't think there's any excuse. He can't use the Super Bowl as an excuse anymore.
No, you can't. It's 3 years, and I've been on a high from the Super Bowl, but it's going to be Super Bowl 54 on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we won 52. So it's going to be 3 years. And next year's 55. So it's time to get it stepping. It's time to get on that run again, and no more bullshit.
No more. No
Because
more. They got to have a
the last 2 years have been so mediocre.
It has. It really has. And they've got to change. Like I think they're too loyal to some of the older guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're too loyal to guys that won Super Bowl, and it's really hurt them a lot. I mean, Belichick talks about this all the time, that when he wins the Super Bowl, he gets rid of 30% of his roster.
Yeah.
Because he wants guys hungry. And I think there's something to it.
Yeah. Now, before we get out of here, because we're at the 25-minute mark, I have to ask you a question. Now, were you an Andy Reid guy or were you not an Andy Reid guy? I will tell you my answer after.
I liked Andy Reid. I had no problem with Andy Reid. I mean, I some of his things, like the way he didn't run the ball enough bothered me. But I was an Andy Reid guy up until I want to say 2008. After that year, I thought it was time to move on because we lost another championship game and stuff. And I thought that he stayed about 3 or 4 years too long.
Yeah. Maybe, and you might be right. We had that comeback against the Arizona Cardinals, and then Gut Red should just take it right out of our heart. Thing about Andy Reid is, and I hear this, I've been hearing this for the last 2 weeks from Eagles fans that are rooting and putting their balls on the line for Andy Reid in the Super Bowl. You guys have to understand something. A lot of people want to say, oh, you weren't here during the suck-ass era, and, you don't understand how bad it was before Andy Reid got here. All right, fine, I understand that, but when I'm born into an era where there's nothing but success and you expect the most out of your team, and yearly you go to the NFC Championship game just to fall short, I'm sorry, that's just not good enough. And I'm going to compare Andy Reid to Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick had the same exact entrance into the New England Patriots. The Patriots had 0 Super Bowls, 0 in 2000 before Tom Brady entered because Bledsoe got injured. All of a sudden, where are they now? They have 6, and Andy Reid still has 0. So right. A lot of people want to say he made the Eagles in better position to win. All right, fine, whatever. That's your opinion. I don't really care. I completely disagree. A lot of people want to say that he helped us get Doug Peterson. That's not really true because Doug Peterson was our last resort. We were actually going to sign Ben McAdoo, but Ben McAdoo turned around and signed him with the New York Giants. So we panicked and signed Doug Peterson. Mm-hmm. Then they say that he brought Nick Foles out of retirement. All right, you could say whatever. That's fine. But at the end of the day, Nick Foles wouldn't have played a snap if Carson Wentz didn't go down. And he's saying that there's just so many excuses for Andy Reid, and I just don't get it. Andy Reid wasted 14 years of our time. He really did. We had some of the best teams ever in Midnight Green. Some of the best teams ever. We wasted McNabb's youth. We wasted all this talent. McNabb didn't have any wide receivers around him. All right. Westbrook was a generational talent. Shady was a generational talent. And these guys got wasted because of this fucking moron and that he can't clock manage.
Well, here's the thing. I think a lot of the failures for the Eagles not winning was really front office related. Because at the time where we were making our 4 runs, Andy was not picking the players. It was Joe Banner. And they refused to go out and get a wide receiver. All they needed was that Terrell Owens 2-3 years before they got him, that kind of guy, and they would have won 2 Super Bowls. I think Andy's a Hall of Fame coach. I think he's done a great job. Now, I have problems with like some of his game management things and the way he used to throw way too much because he would throw so much. But I mean, you can't deny that. Look at some of the talent when he did get control and was able to pick players. He drafted some talented guys, man. Yeah. And then look what he's done with Kansas City. Look at the talent they have. I think when he drafted Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson, he figured out how to draft wide receiver. And look at how he's drafted wide receivers in Kansas City. They're all fast.
And someone in the comment section said one of the more stupid questions I've ever heard. McNabb had Deshaun Jackson. How the F is that not talent wide receiver? He had Deshaun Jackson for 1.5 years. Literally 1.5 years. That's it. That's a small sample size. He had him his rookie year, which they went to the championship game, and they lost. And then the next year, he did the little air guitar against Dallas, and we got our asses kicked 2 weeks in a row to that team. So, I mean, I just don't – and at that point, Donovan McNabb was out of his prime, you know?
Yeah.
So they really didn't give him any talent.
No, they didn't give him talent. They didn't give him talent quick enough. It took till 2004 when Owens came. And by the way, people forget Owens was traded to Baltimore. The Eagles didn't pursue him that hard. He was traded to Baltimore and refused to go because he wanted to be in Philly. We backed into Terrell Owens. That was another reason why I thought you should have signed him. The guy was showing loyalty while he was on another team.
He loved it in Philadelphia. Loved it. And he went to Dallas out of a petty move.
Well, I have a conspiracy. I think it was a setup. I think it was all set up to go to Dallas. I think he wanted out, and he talked to Michael Irvin and Dion, and they were like, "Go on TV and do an interview and trash McNabb. You'll be out. They'll have to let you go." And he did it. I really believe it.
Yeah, because you can't trash your QB.
No.
And then he went to Dallas because he knows that we hate him. And
yeah. I mean, if we would have kept Owens, I think from the another 3-4 years, I think we would have had
at least we would have had at least one title.
I think we would have had it definitely gone again. It's just they waited when they were going against Tampa, the Rams, and who was the other team that they lost to? The Carolina. When they lost those games, they needed a wide receiver. That was the point where they should have gone out and get one.
And I'll answer this one before we get out of here. Jazz S in the comment section says Owens for 1 year, Deshaun for 2 years, and McNabb doesn't get half the excuses that Wentz does. It's true. It's 100% true. But the problem is the fan base didn't like McNabb because, number one, he had the best poker face in the world. You can't tell which way his brain's going. And number two, on Twitter, he's been a huge asshole to the fans recently. So
I don't care what anybody says. Those receivers even though they were bad, they were better than what Carson had to deal with this past year.
Yeah, I can't guess.
They were a lot better than what he had to deal with.
But Greg Ward was balling out. You got to admit that.
Greg Ward was good, but he came the last 4 games. Where was he all year?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I don't think McNabb had weapons. I'm afraid that they're doing the same thing with Carson again, and I want to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, McNabb had a really good offensive line, dude. A really good offensive line.
Yeah.
A really good running backs.
Old man Runyon.
Yeah, Runyon, Trey Thomas. Good offensive lines.
Yeah, they were really good. They had Jackson for a while. And before we get out of here, someone wants to ask you a question. Who do you think is the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time?
Randall Cunningham.
Okay.
That's it. It's not even close. Randall is the man. You put Randall on with Andy Reid, they won 3 Super Bowls.
Okay. I never saw Randall, so I can't vouch for that. But anyway, we're going to get out of here. We hit our 30-minute mark 2 minutes ago. But is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, this is going to be fun all season. I appreciate you having me on. And as always, it was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time. And we'll definitely do some more stuff in the offseason. The Sixers, they're beating the Bucks, they're beating the Lakers, and then they lose to Atlanta. So, I mean, you can't really call it.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You can't call it.
They need a shooter.
Yep, we do need a shooter. We need balls, too. That's what we need. But
yeah.
Anyway, we're out of here. Peace, guys.